Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie, Jessica.
She's laughing at my voice.
I know.
You are.
Sorry.
We'll talk about that in a second. So today it's that time again. It is time for our Bestie Book Tea, or what we like to call, we call it our Bestie Book Tea. Oh, I'm tired.
1 minute book recs,
Thank you.
also known as bestie book tea.
So let's sit down and get started. We'll talk about all the books we read this week with 1 minute synopses. Son of a booger. All right. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We are still doing our Road to 1K giveaway. We are so close to giving away this copy of Elsie Silver's Flawless. It is her discreet cover, and it is signed by Elsie. We got this when we were at Love in Seattle, so we will be giving this away when we hit 250 subscribers, and we're almost there. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Bless you. Hold on. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and make sure you're following us on Instagram, because you will get an extra entry on our Instagram, and that's all linked below, right, Mandy?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys have to forgive my voice. I just got home from 2 different trips in 7 days. I had a last minute trip to Vegas, and the smoke in the casinos, even though I didn't spend time in the casinos, I was at a jewelry show, but it was just nasty, and it bothers my obviously my throat is being bothered by it. So yeah. So Mandy, let's talk about our reading week.
Okay. I read 8 books and I had a pretty decent reading week.
I read 10 books. I had a great reading week, even though I didn't get to read as much as I normally do. I thought I would read when I was in Disney with the kids, but we had so much fun I didn't even pick up a darn book. So it's great. Yeah. So yeah, 5 of those books was one series and 2 was a duet. So I only have 5 books to talk about.
Okay.
All right. So why don't you get us started, and let's set the timer and talk about your first book.
So my first read of the week is called Stone. It is the second book in the Knight's Corruption series. I love this series. I read the first one. These are definitely much better if you read them in order, because there's an underlying story that goes through, but each book focuses on a different guy in the motorcycle club. So this is Stone's story. Addie is a nurse, and she is called in by her uncle to come and repair people when they don't want to go to the hospital because knife wounds and gunshot wounds draw attention. So she frequents the club to help with different things like this. And this is how she meets Stone. And they kind of start hooking up a little bit on the down low. And then they really start to develop feelings for each other. Stone was one of my possessive obsessive heroes. So I'll link that video below.
Timer's up.
Hey, that's my time.
Yeah.
Stone and Addie's story is fantastic, though. I just want to note that Addie's uncle does not want her having anything to do with any of the men in the club. Although he calls her to come in and fix people, he threatens anybody that looks at her. So Stone is ready to take their relationship public, but Addie is like, oh, I don't really know that the motorcycle life is this club life is for me, even though she's heavily involved in the club. So good, though. So good.
All good. I love me a good MC romance.
Yes, this one's fantastic.
Yeah. All right. So my first read of the week was a duet. So I read Champagne Venom, and then the second book is Champagne Wrath, and they're by Nicole Fox. This is about Paige and Misha. So Paige, at the beginning of the book, has just discovered her husband has left her. He's taken all their money. She even discovered they're not technically married. He just pulled one over on her, a complete con situation. She's gotten into a situation where now she starts a new job in 3 days, but she has nowhere to live, nowhere to go. like $60 to her name, and she goes to this restaurant to get pizza, and the pizza is like $80. It's like some fancy ass pizza restaurant. I've never heard of pizza being that expensive. So when she pitches a fit, this guy comes out and he's like, what's going on? Let me buy you the pizza. Let me take care of you. He actually puts her up in a hotel room. They end up banging it out that night, and that is Misha. So when she starts her job in 3 days, guess who is her new boss? And then guess who's pregnant because they didn't use anything. Yeah. So then he forces her to marry him. I gave it 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed it when I was reading it. It was a good one. It was good. It just afterwards I kind of forgot the storyline. So it was good in the moment.
All right.
Yeah. It's
next.
Yeah. Next.
Okay. My next read is called Ball Peen Hammer by Lauren Rowe. It is the 3rd book in the Morgan Brothers series, and I absolutely love this whole Morgan Brothers and Reed Rivers, this whole like universe that she's created. So this focuses on Keen, whose stripper name is Ball Peen Hammer because he had to change it. If you read the previous books, you'll read a quick little funny story about him in those, about why he had to change his stripper name. So he's a stripper like Magic Mike type. Think that is who he is. And Maddie's sister is living in California. So Maddie is driving from Seattle with Keen down to California. Maddie's neighbor is Dax, who is Keen's brother. So that's how everybody's kind of connected. And Dax is getting signed to Reed Rivers record company. And Reed is very like protective of people in his universe. So there's like stories about Reed like cutting people's record deals because they messed around with somebody and he didn't like that. So Keen is told by Dax, Maddie is off limits. You may not do anything with her. Like you two are just driving down as friends. That's that. Well, they kind of develop feelings for each other. Keen does not want a relationship. So they start up kind of a no strings attached thing, which quickly turns into everybody having feelings. And it's a really fun story. And the Morgan world is just, I love that universe. So 4-star read. Great listen. I listened to it on Audible. It's a great listen.
Okay. So my next read out, let me tell you before we swap places, this is like going down as an all-time favorite of the year.
Oh, okay.
I should have read it sooner. I knew all about it and I put it off and I put it off. And then I picked it up and I was like, damn, I should have read this sooner. So anyhow, so my next read, it's 5 books in one. This is, hold on, I can't even hold it up. It's too thick. So this is the Mindfuck series by St. Abby. For those of you who
language.
What?
I said language.
Whatever. I'm just reading the title. But this is by St. Abby. For those of you, like the whole 5 of you out there in the world who haven't read this, go out and do it. It's worth it. So this is about Lana, who is our heroine, and she is a serial killer. Now, there is a reason why she is out killing these people. Part of the reason why I didn't want to read this right away is because I'm like, why do I want to read about a woman who just goes out and murders a whole bunch of people? And so that was a huge part of it. But there is a reason behind it. She's not crazy. There's a reason. There's planning. The forethought in this book, oh my gosh, it just blew me away. And then you have Logan, who is an FBI agent, and he is on a special task force team to find these serial killers. And he works with a bunch of profilers. So there's a lot of profiling and stuff going on in this book. And it was so like, this book was just so good. It was just, there's no words to describe it. Like the forethought and the plot, and like they're 5 novellas. They're each under 200 pages that make up the whole series. And I had to read it because today the Mystic Box let out, like they released the special edition add-on for this one. And so I needed to know if I needed to order it or not. And obviously,
what did you determine?
What
did you determine?
Oh, it was ordered. It went live at 1:00 and I had my order in by 1:01. Okay. Cause I was not about to play this game. So St. Abby actually is CM Owens, for those who don't know that. And then CM Owens was killed in a car accident in 2021. So, but the series was completed before that happened. So, so like, go read it. It consumed my life for 2 days.
I need to read it.
You do. It was good. It was really, really, really good. So, okay, tell me about your next read.
So my next read is Mr. Bodyguard by Lauren Rowe. This is the fourth book in the Morgan Brothers series, but it is about Xander. Xander is not actually a Morgan brother. He's like an honorary Morgan brother. He is Peen's best friend. And these two are hilarious together. They like call each other wifey and just have a really fun relationship. So Xander just falls in love really easily. Like he's been in love a lot and it just happens very easily. So much so that all the Morgan brothers and even the Morgan family, mom gets in on this too. And they actually have a group chat where they're taking bets on how long it takes for Xander to fall in love with his charge that he is guarding. And that's Aloha. She's a singer. And he's like, nope, 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 I'm not going to do it. But guess what? They both fall for each other. And so this is that story. I really enjoyed this. I was thinking that the Mr. Bodyguard part might be a little more taboo, like he's not supposed to have feelings for her. And while there is a little bit of that, it's really not a taboo read in that sense. But it's a lot of fun.
Okay, good. Well, I mean, it's Lauren Rowe. I don't think she does a lot of taboo.
No.
Yeah.
I guess I figured there to be a little more angst with like, oh, he's the bodyguard, so they can't act on their feelings, but it wasn't really like that. I mean, it is mentioned, but it's not taboo or angsty in that sense.
No, it's Lauren Rowe. She just doesn't do that. She's more
fun. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I read a lot in the Morgan universe and they all just kind of have a little, they're not like rom-com-y, but they're funny.
They're just a little more, they're just a little lighter, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, you need that sometimes. And I do love that universe, even though I tend to lean towards darker stuff. So yeah. So my next, like everything else I've read for the week are going to be rereads. Okay. So when I found out that I was going to Vegas this week, like I found out like 3 minutes before we got on the plane, basically what happened. It was what happened. I was like, I have to go back to Vegas and one of my favorite books. So I read Twisted Emotions by Cora Riley. This is about the Kimura. If you've gotten into these books, this is my signed copy actually. But these take place in Vegas. This is after her Born in Blood. This is like the spinoff series. And honestly, it's my favorite. So this is about Nino and Kiara. Kiara is a cousin to Luca, who we see in Born in Blood. And there has been, obviously rival between the Kimura and the outfit in Chicago and the guys in New York. And so everybody hates Chicago, and the capo out here in Vegas wants to attack them. And so they need that strength of the New York familia. And so there is a marriage arranged between Kiara and Nino, who is the brother of the capo out in Vegas. Kiara was raped when she was a child, so definitely check triggers for that. And if you know anything about these guys, like they want their brides to be virgins, and she's already freaking out about the wedding night because he's not getting what he was promised. She doesn't want to be touched. She wants nothing to do with her. And Nino is a sociopath. He doesn't feel emotions. He can mimic emotions, but he doesn't feel emotions. So he is the perfect husband for her. And I love being in Vegas. The Kimura are my favorite. I haven't read the new Cora Riley, but my Kimura are my actual favorites out of all of her books. So I feel the need right now to actually go read the next one, which is Remo's story, because I've been in Vegas this week. So might have to do that. Yeah.
All right.
You need to start reading these books.
I know. Gosh. Okay. My next book is called Rowe by Dylan Page. It's a 2-star read.
For Mandy.
For me. Jessica, it's a 5-star read. This was my book that I picked from our Wild Man series. You will notice, I will link that below so you can see that, but just our videos are just flip-flopped this week because Jessica has been gallivanting around the world, and so we had to flip-flop stuff. So Rowe is about Katie, who goes kayaking with some friends in a national park that's just reopening, and they're going on this they're college students, they're going on this kayaking trip, and they're not really prepared, I guess you could say, and things go a little bit awry and they get separated, and she gets rescued by Rowe, who is basically like a wild, primitive caveman type guy who lives with his tribe there. I'm still a little perplexed as to how they go unnoticed, but it's a vast land. So
They go unnoticed because it's 1973.
yes.
Today they
So,
wouldn't go unnoticed.
Jessica found it to be a fantastic read. Me, not so much.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay. I will not hold it against you.
Okay.
Okay. So my next read was yet another reread, and it was Razor's Ride by Jamie Bagley. Mandy laughed. She's laughing. She's read them too. Oh, I thought you were laughing. Is that the dogs?
No, I was laughing.
Okay, I thought you were okay. Anyhow, so these are like comfort reads for me. I read these on an airplane.
A few of them.
Yeah. So this is the first one in her Last Riders trilogy. I got to think for a second. Or Last Riders series, not trilogy, series. So this is about Beth and Razor. So Beth was the pastor's daughter in town growing up, and she was never allowed to do like anything, never allowed to go to dance, never allowed to be around boys, like raised very strictly. Her father's no longer in the picture, but she still upholds all that. She takes care of her younger sister, and then she has a job where her own business where she goes around and helps those in need in the town, like the elderly and whatever they need, or to get groceries and stuff like that. Razor has just recently moved to town with his motorcycle gang, and she's been leery, but there is a part of Beth that's just a little adventurous, and there's a little rebellious part of hers that wants to know what it's all about. And so Razor kind of he comes to her, but there's more than to me. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to the club. A lot to the club.
Your timer did go off, but I was on mute because I was coughing. Sorry.
Okay. Allergies.
Is there anything else you want to say besides
that?
No,
I mean, that was it. I mean, those are the high points. Like,
you find a sex club your comfort read.
Hey, just because they like to have sex with each other all over in that club. I mean,
it's a weird book.
Might have been weird, but I still love it. Love the series. Okay. Your next read.
My next read is Rockstar. It is the 5th and final book in the Morgan Brothers series. This is about Dax and Violet. This was a 4-star read for me. All of the Morgan Brothers, I believe, were 4 or 5-star reads because it's a really great series. There's also a lot more to the universe, like I've already said, but this ends the Morgan Brothers side. So Dax is in a band called 22 Goats, and we hear about it throughout the series. He meets Violet at a party at Reed River's house, and there is instant chemistry between the two of them. Like Dax really, really likes her. They agree to have like this kind of one night stand thing. But once she finds out who he is, she's like, no, I'm not waiting around for you. Like, go on your tour, have a great time. Like it'll be fantastic. And he's like, well, wait, when I come to your town, will you come? And she's like, no, you just go have fun. So we don't really know why she has this change. If you've read the series, you kind of pick up on a few things and have some ideas of what must be going on. So very good. Hello.
Sorry, the husky, my husky's right next to me, and I'm waiting for her to start howling because I think the husband's home.
Oh, so
yeah.
I don't want to give anything away with the story, so I know I didn't really touch on much, but there's some things that we find out about Violet sort of at the beginning of the book that explain things, but I don't want to give anything away. So that's where I'm just going to leave it at. But I would definitely recommend the series. Read the Reed Rivers trilogy is also really good, which ties into this series. And then there's a few standalones that also tie into this universe.
Yeah, they're good. That whole series is good.
It's lovely.
Okay. So we're going to go from my last read back to this universe, to the Last Riders. This is Viper'S Friend. This is the second book in the Last Riders because, again, I needed my comfort reads. So this is obviously Viper and Willow. So Willow is the principal at the local high school. She's been dating this guy for several years. She thinks he's one thing, but we find out at the very end of the first book who he really is. And yeah, so she's out at the school one day and she gets attacked. It's late at night. She's leaving the school. She gets attacked and she can't walk. And so Viper takes her to when she gets out of her rehab, he takes her back to their compound, their house, where their MC meets, and basically keeps her to get her to recuperate because he wants her to I don't know. He wants her to get to know him. But there is a history between the two of them, and there is some hurt there and some miscommunication. So I love it. I love this whole series. I do. Say what you will. It may be somewhat of a sex club, but works for me. Not in reality though. Just in the books. Yeah.
I like how you clarify that.
Yeah.
Okay, Jessica, my next read is part of the Knight's Corruption series, and you're going to want to read this series after I tell you about this book.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
Okay, so this is number 3, and it is called Jagger. Jagger is a prospect. He's been in the club as a prospect for about 2 years, and the president of the club doesn't really like him much, and you find out about why in book 1. So Jagger is a fighter, and that's he fights in the MMA. Not MMA, he's an underground MMA fighter. So he is at a fight one day, and he's leaving, and he sees that his opponent, who he really doesn't like, is cornered a girl and another woman, and the two ladies, girls, women, whatever we want to call them, one of them is yelling at the guy, and he intervenes to see hey, what's going on, back off type thing. And he realizes that it's a sister she's defending her sister who cannot communicate. And Jagger is instantly attracted to her and just feels this connection. But Kenna is not able to communicate. And she uses sign language. It is fantastic because you have this big bad biker MMA fighter who is going to learn sign language.
I think this is one's been on my TBR for a very long time.
It's really good. But you really need to start with book 1 because there is quite the story that goes on throughout the whole 5-book series. I devoured the series. Absolutely loved it.
Cool. Was that your last book?
No, I have 2 more.
Okay. Keep going. And then we have something we need to discuss before we get done.
Okay.
Okay.
Ready?
Go.
Okay, so my next book is called The Cautious Cowboy. It is by Macy St. James. This was Elijah and Zoe. It's third person, which if you've watched any of our videos, you know I'm not a huge fan of third person. So it was a little bit hard to get into. I gave it 3 stars. It's a second chance kind of romance, but not really. They knew each other, and now she's back in town and they kind of connect. So I don't really think it's a second chance romance, but they already knew each other. But there is high school drama that's still playing out. When she was in high school, I think it was her freshman year, she dated this guy who had dated her friend for 3 weeks, and they ended up dating for 3 or 4 years, all through high school before they broke up. And this girl is still upset with her, and now they're in their mid-20s. So, and that kept coming back up, and I'm this is weird. I got kind of bored with the book. And then Jessica. So I don't read reviews until after I read the book, because even when they say that they're spoiler free, they give away spoilers. So I just stopped doing that. So I base it on ratings. So I'll look on Goodreads and see it's 4.26. This must be a really good book. So it was rated really high, and we were doing our cowboy thing. So I started it. I actually stopped it, and I have a month in between when I started it and decided to power through and finish it. So after I'm 3-star read, I liked it, but it just was not that exciting. Mm-hmm. I went and looked, and it turns out it is, and I quote, marketed as a sweet, clean, contemporary Western romance.
Really?
Oh, well, no wonder I didn't like it. Apparently, I like my books with a little bit more smut.
Yes, I do have to say, okay, you know how you always tell me when we read a novella, you'll be oh yeah, there's probably a lot of smut. Typically a novella has quite a bit of smut in it.
Yes.
The ST Abby, the Mind F series, um, doesn't. It's very plot driven. That was something I forgot to say. It doesn't. It has like one scene in each book, for the most part. But you don't even notice because you're so sucked into it. But yeah, that you
I think
just
that's
talk.
kind of different though when you're reading a series versus like one novella that's kind of a standalone.
But it also makes like there's also like if the plot is that good and the book is that driven by the plot, you don't need to have a scene in every chapter. You know, you just need to have a couple of really good ones, and that's it. Because you're just so sucked into a series or a book that you don't even realize that nothing's happened yet. Because that's when you know like all the boxes are getting ticked. So
yes.
Yeah. Okay, next.
For my last read, I read Stuck Up Suit by Vi Keeland and Penelope Ward. This is about Soraya and Graham. She sees Graham on the train, like totally chewing out somebody on the phone. And she's like, wow, nicknames him Stuck Up Suit. And then he gets off the train, but he forgets his phone. So she picks it up and with the intent to return it to him. But like any person would do, she holds onto the phone and snoops through it.
Duh.
So after she snoops through it, she goes to return it to him because she looks in it first to try and figure out who he is. So she actually makes a phone call and gets or a text and actually gets kind of a funny text back that leads to more stuff that happens in the story. So I don't want to give that away. So when she goes to return it to him, he refuses to see her and she doesn't stand down for that. Like she's like, nope. And she kind of makes a big deal and he like just refuses to come out. So she takes some provocative pictures and texts them to him from her phone. And then he sees the pictures and responds to her, and they kind of start this back and forth because they're both rather intrigued by each other, but very, very different personalities. And it is what?
Jeff is standing right here.
You're being really rude during my time.
Sorry.
Well, anyways, that is the story. It was a 4-star read. I loved it. I always really enjoy Vi Keeland and Penelope Ward. They're great palate cleansers. And yeah.
I think I read that one when I first started reading. Dang dogs.
There are a lot of distractions going on at your house.
I know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read that one back in 2020 or 2021. So
it just came out 2 weeks ago.
No, it didn't.
I'm kidding.
No, it didn't. I know I read that one.
I'm just messing with you.
Okay. So when I was on the plane yesterday, this is what I want to figure out how. Okay. The girl next to me was reading on a Kindle. And obviously I was in the middle because I was next to my friend that I went with, right? So then the girl next to the window was on the Kindle. Do you know how hard it was for me to be like, not be like, what are you reading? Like I was trying to glance over and look and see like what she was reading on her Kindle without being a nosy bitch. But I was totally being nosy. So
are we going to see a video of you on TikTok where you're like,
possibly because my friend and I were both reading. You know, I knew what she was reading because I told her to read it. So and I obviously know what I'm reading, but I'm like, what is she reading? Like trying not to be nosy because the lady obviously she didn't seem very friendly, and so.
What is your question and your point other than making yourself
my question is how do you do that discreetly? How? But then when we got off the plane, I saw it was some nonfiction book, and I was like, oh.
But when I have mine like pulled up,
mine says up in the top.
Mine doesn't on my Kindle.
Hers is like yours. Hers is a paperweight, and it doesn't say.
Yeah.
It just went back to like the beginning page or something when it landed, and she was putting it away. But at the top of mine, because I've got the fire, it says at the very top what the title of the book is. So I was like, "What is she reading?"
Why didn't you just ask?
She wasn't friendly. The moral to the story is always be friendly when you have a book open. And if you are reading smut like we do, plan and prepare to know what you're going to talk about. So when a nosy bitch like me sits next to you, you have an answer. There you go. Moral of the story.
All right.
Airplane etiquette. All
Yeah,
right.
I think that you need to go watch some videos on airplane etiquette.
Possibly airplane etiquette. Yeah. So anyhow. All right, guys, that is all that we have for you today. Thank you so much for watching.
Make sure to check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us.
In the meantime, I will look up airplane etiquette, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Please do.